real quick using these annotations so I can try it out a bit. But for credit skip, personally, what I do is I like to stand on this little crack that's like right here. I mean, Nork is gonna keep zapping me, but this triangle, like little crack on the floor, I'm like standing on top of it right now. If you could see that. That's where I like position myself to like, get ready for the procs. Kind of like in the middle, but the top corner of the triangle. So you have like a tile that looks like this, basically. It's like a rectangle, and then you have like this triangular crack that looks like this. You want to stand like in the middle where that point is, basically. I don't know if you can like see that, but you want to stand in like that little like middle section where the cracks align. That's where you position for the proxy, and you want to be facing the center of Nork. Like, if you see his legs here while you're there, you can adjust the camera to help you out, but you want Spyro's head basically between his legs. So it's like Nork's about to kind of crush Spyro's head like a melon in between. Because when you're proxying, you want to glide into his chest, which is like, you know, the center. And that's why you use his legs as a reference point. So once you get those two pieces, you're standing in the middle of this little triangle crack thingy, and you have yourself centered into Nork. You just want to make sure you're as close to him as possible, where he's still zapping you, but not squashing you. Like, he's zapping me here, but if I moved a little forward, he would start squishing you. That means I'm too close. You want him to still be zapping you, but like as close as you can get. And you want to at least make sure you have at least one Sparks, because you're going to be like damage boosting. Or like damage boosting. Oh god, I don't even know if I'm ready for the skip, honestly. Okay, so once you have all of that, you're lined up in the middle of Nork, you're in the triangular crack thing I was describing, and you're as close to Nork as you can get without him squashing you. What you're gonna do is when you get hit by his laser, you want to stand there and get hit by his laser. You're gonna take like a small step forward. You're gonna hold forward. So you basically walk out as soon as like hit stun ends, but like just the tiniest step, and you're gonna immediately full hop and then charge glide directly into North's chest. And again, you're gonna aim like in the middle of him. That's why your head's in between his legs. I wasn't ready for that. So like that. You take like a small step forward, you full hop into a charge glide. And you don't want to hold your full hop too long, you don't want to start falling, because that means you might be too late. If you're too late, typically what will happen is he will squash you. You'll take 1 damage from his laser, you'll fly into him, you won't bounce off of him, but he'll actually squash you as he's like doing that animation when you walk too close to him. If you're too early, when you're charge gliding into him, you'll just kind of like bump into him. I don't think you want to drop at all. I try not to drop. I charge glide like at the top of my jump. You're not sure you heard that last time when you showed me? I don't remember, but I definitely said you just want to full hop into like a charge glide. I don't think you want to drop, because then it might be too late. If I didn't mention that like at all last time, then I would not recommend dropping. I don't think you drop. I'm gonna like double check it just in case here, but I don't think you drop. So you just want to walk up and full hop and charge glide into him. If you're kind of like off center, like I was there, you might be sent left or right. You just have to readjust accordingly. But yeah, you don't want to drop. You just want to full hop, and at the peak of your jump, charge glide into the center of his chest. And he'll start like raising his arm in the squash animation, and that's what knocks you up. When his club goes up and you're above him, or you're like kind of in him, he'll like knock you up. And then now, once you get that proxy down, I think the second part here is very kind of feels based. Like, you kind of have to feel it out. But there's still like a system to it. At least how I do it. I like to count a very arbitrary 1 and 2 count. So just 1, 2. You're going to feel that out for yourself. But for me, it's kind of like 1, 2, 1, 2. When you start counting is when you see this little corner. It's like in the distance here in the pause screen, but you can see it if I can find my cursor. Where is my cursor? So right here, you guys see that corner? The wall looks like this. That's what that wall looks like. There's a corner right there. It's kind of like inward into like the background. So that is my point of reference as I am doing the credit skip and I'm on the second half. This is after the proxy. I look for this corner specifically, right there. And I want to kind of guide it out of my screen, like the bottom right corner here of my screen. I kind of want to glide in a way that will glide it out to that bottom right corner. Once that corner hits like kind of the corner of the screen, it like fades out of your view, you want to immediately start counting your 1, 2. And you're going to have to feel that out when you practice. For me, it's kind of like 1, 2, 1, 2. As you're counting that, you want to hold just a hard right. Like, you can see my controller there light up, hard right. Just hold hard right for that count, 1, 2. As soon as you count 2, hold back to kind of lift Spyro's head up and then let go so he speeds back up as he's lifting his head. And it should work. You'll kind of also see the height of Spyro compared to the ground. You want his head to kind of be like just slightly above the ground as he's like clipping through. It'll phase through him. If you're too high, you'll like immediately fall down. If you're too low, you just won't reach mark. So you want his head to kind of shave his, like through his neck as you're like turning. Kind of happens quicker than you'd anticipate. Yes, it's not full 2 seconds. You have to feel that out. It's a little quicker than 2 seconds. Yes, you do want to do it earlier than you think it is. If you like keep missing Nork, but you're not immediately like knocked down from the floor, that means you probably have the correct angle. You're just flaming too late, or you're lifting your head too late. You only know you're too early is if like your flame either hits the ground above you or Spyro just falls, just immediately drops. He flops. Usually it's because you're too late. And yeah, it's not a full 2 second count. So in this position, you see how I'm positioned like really far off to the left side? And I'm talking about this corner that you want to focus on. You actually want to line up pretty close to the corner as well. Around like here. You kind of want to be really close to the corner as you're flying past it. And then you'll definitely see that this will phase out. You don't want to start turning. Again, you don't want to start turning and holding hard right 1, 2 until this corner is down here, like phasing out of your peripheral. That's when you want to start turning. You want to keep going straight next to this edge until this hits the outer edge of your screen. That's when you start holding hard right and counting. I'm going to try my best to demonstrate it here. It might not be perfect because, you know, credit skip's kind of hit or miss, but like that's like my consistent strat that works for me. So let's go ahead and remove that off my screen. I'm also kind of weirdly positioned right now. I'm off to the left, and that makes it a little bit harder. So this is another pointer actually. I didn't talk about this. Height. Height is also very important to my setup at least, because if you count 1, 2, but you're a little too high over like the wall you're flying over, then you're gonna be too high still. You're still gonna probably land in the ring or knock and like flop down and drop like a rock. I think this is about the correct height. You kind of just want to be like a Spyro tall above the wall as you're gliding over it. And whatever you're comfortable with. When I used to start doing credit skip, I would like flop up, I would get the high proxy and then let Spyro drop, and then start gliding until I know he's about like maybe a Spyro above the wall. Or if you're on the way up, you can like glide out of your flop immediately if you're quick with it. Again, as long as you're about a Spyro above the wall. I think that's like a rough estimate of how high above the wall you want to be. So about a Spyro above the wall, and like with this corner kind of like right next to the corner. And as you're flying straight past it, you just want the corner to phase out of the bottom right corner of your screen. Those are the 3 points on this second half that you want to pay attention to. Oh god, I paused it here. It's gonna be weird. Yeah, so as you can see there, I was too low. I kind of hesitated. I kind of swerved a little bit because I unpaused. I wasn't sure where I was. But that's when you know you're way too low, because Spyro's head has to kind of chop through the ground. Let's try that again. Too far. I think that was too far. I like bonked into him. Probably too far. I feel like I said earlier it might have been too early, but like sometimes you bonk into him. Oh. I might also edit out all this like trial and error as well, just so the video goes by quicker, but it should work here. If I can get the positioning. So yeah, I sometimes let myself drop. I'm about a Spyro tall, and then as soon as that corner phases out of my screen, I'm gonna count 1, 2. 1, 2. Now we're way too far there, but close. Probably because my angle is a little off. Did you see where Spyro's head was? That's about like the general area you want to be. I might have been too low still, but that's like the general area you want to be at. Yeah, I was a little too low still. Learning this trick is definitely like the hardest part, and like de-rusting it. But once you get it, it's actually pretty easy. It's like 6 different things you want to pay attention to. Unless you can just feel it out yourself. So kind of like that. That's if everything went correctly. Oops, too early. I might have just taken a step too big. Nope. Yeah, basically you're fitting the puzzle pieces in. That's a good analogy. I guess that's just how like setups work, is that you do have to fit the puzzle pieces together instead of just feeling things out. Because yeah, there's like a lot of things you pay attention to and you know is like gonna work if you just do it correctly. I made that analogy last time. Did I? I don't even remember. I might have. Something along those lines. I don't know if I said puzzle, but like, yeah, definitely something along those lines. You're probably correct, and I just don't remember. So around here. Oh, I was a little too low that one. But you get like the general idea, right? You see how that works, right? Like I'm pretty close every time, just trying to replicate like the conditions. I'm still wavering a little bit on like my glide across the wall, but like I just want to replicate those conditions, and they should work almost every time. You have to do this charge glide at the very top of jump. You have about flopping up. Yeah. So basically, you want to take a tiny step forward, like kind of like this. Spyro like raises his leg, 1, and then at the top, charge glide. You don't want him to like really fall too much. He might fall a little bit, but it's basically at the peak of your jump when he starts to fall, like that. 1 more button, please. What do you mean 1 more button? Oh no, I'm good. Oh no, right side. Early. I think I was early. Right side's the same. I'm not used to it, but right side's basically the same. You want to basically kind of mirror the things that I talked about. Still Spyro high, still pretty close to the edge, corner still fading out, count to 2. It's the same thing, it's just reverse. It just depends on which side you're more comfortable on, probably will be more consistent. But yeah, that's basically the credit skip. It's like a lot when you're practicing, but if you have like those 6 pieces down, the first 3 pieces, again, we can write it here, the first 3 pieces. So 1, you want to have like the little panel with that crack, like that. You want to stand in the middle. You want to stand close to Nork. Oh god. Computer's exploding. Close to Nork. Is that appearing on my screen? That's actually not appearing close to my screen. Let me move it down. Let me slide my annotations down so it actually fits properly. You want to stand close to Nork, and then 3. You want to be centered to his legs, like in between his legs. So like if Nork is standing like this, here's big old Nork, and his legs are like this, you want Spyro's head to basically between his legs, in between his legs as you're looking at him. Those are the 3 key points of like setting up the proxy. Stand as close to him as possible, stand in the little middle of the triangle. You'll have to also feel that out. I kind of like am behind the point maybe a little bit, and then you want to have Spyro's head between his legs. And then for the gliding section. That's gonna be a little bit harder to explain, but you want to kind of align yourself. There's that wall, that little hitch. It's like a little hitch into the background. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen Nasty's ring, you know what I'm talking about. There's like these little panels that kind of poke out of the ring. You want to focus on the corners. Depending on which side you're coming from, you want to focus on the corners of that like wall. And you want to have it move out of your peripheral before you start turning. 2, you want to be like right next to the corner, kind of. Feel it out, of course, but generally you're like pretty close to the corner. And then 3, as you're gliding, about Spyro tall, Spyro height over the wall. Over wall. Those are the 3 parts to gliding over that corner and like setting up the whole turning section. And for the turning section, you just want to count to 2. It'll be up to you to learn the timing because it's not exactly 2 seconds. I had to just sit there and like count till I found something that worked. And as soon as you hit 2, just pull Spyro back, hold back, and let go of the down button so he starts moving at his normal speed again, and then flame. Flame as you're like passing through the floor. Don't go too late. Your head's still kind of above the floor, but you want to flame there so you can actually hit Nork as you're flying past him. So that's like 8 steps, I guess, and that should be the credit skip. Putting it all together is hard, but once you learn that, you just follow these steps and they like generally work. It's not perfect, it doesn't work for everyone probably, but that's like the basics that I do, at least. So hopefully that was helpful. Spaghetti, did you learn anything? Was that useful to you? That is my lesson for today. I actually want to try it again. Hold on. I didn't like really succeed in it. You can always come back to like the little clip and like repeat that, you know? Like the steps are gonna be there. That's the point of me like redoing all of this, because I've explained credit skip like 9 times on my stream before. But this time I'm gonna try to save it so you can actually refer back to it, the steps. My VODs don't vanish. But yeah. That's my credit skip style. I know some people go really wide, and because of that, I don't really have any like reference to go off of. I don't know when they turn in. That's why I developed like the counting for me. Sub best is wrong. Sub best is wrong. It's still 43. I accidentally like split my Nasty's loot really earlier because that's why on keyboard. Sub best is wrong. It's also easier to do when I'm not like